So at some point, when he's subdued, you have him under control. You have to understand that you don't need to be putting this amount of pressure on his neck.
How do we own a culture when most of the things that are in our culture are being sold at exorbitant prices, and the ones who have benefited from it are the people who are not in our community?
If Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, literally, we were able to have a conversation with them and tell them athletes now are making $500 million. And now they would probably look back and say something like, okay, take us to our neighborhood, show us our schools, show us our banks. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to another conversation with friends. And this all starts from us being on the phone, talking about issues, talking about topics. And I brought my guy back, Cliff, where we had a great conversation last time, got some great feedback. So we're gonna get straight to it. This one was about the case with Daniel Penny being found not guilty for killing the other young man. What's his name?
Jordan Neely.
Jordan Neely. So, I had my views, he had his views, and I said, well, we got to go straight. We got to turn on the mics. We got to turn on the mics and the camera and talk about it. So my thoughts were this. I felt like this had a great comparison to the George Floyd case, where there's a video of someone actually being suffocated to death. And now, how would the people handle this decision? Now, in the George Floyd case, he was found guilty. And I really, in my heart, believe that was due to a lot of pressure being put on this jury, being put on the city for them to make sure they found this man guilty. By any means necessary, they was going to sacrifice one of theirs to make sure this dude went to jail. They wasn't going to let this happen. Right. So he was found guilty for the George Floyd murder and sent to jail. But before we get to that, I want to go right before that. Before George Floyd, there was the situation of, man, you got your computer in front of you. The other gentleman that was selling the Lucy's, and the cop jumped on him and choked him. You know what I'm talking about? He was
Yeah.
selling the Lucy cigarettes. And
Yes.
in that case, the cop got off. There was a
Right.
lot of uproar in that situation. Did you find out who it was?
I'm looking at it.
And that was a lot of uproar from that situation, because the cop, we all seen what happened. There was no reason for nobody to get choked that much, saying, I can't breathe. And now he's dead because he supposedly was selling Lucy cigarettes, which is individual loose cigarettes being sold. Period. No reason. So now the George Floyd happened, and now this officer is found guilty and sent to jail. But now let's look at this situation. This wasn't a cop. This was a average citizen person on a train, and
Eric Garner.
supposedly, say it again.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, Eric Garner. So now supposedly, we only get to knows what happened and was said. Neely gets on the train. He has some mental things going on, right? And that's another topic about how people with mental illness are being kicked out the hospital, being put in the street, because literally the hospitals are not being paid for them, so they're not taking care of them. That's another topic. So now he gets on a train. They say he's being irate. He's screaming at people, saying this, saying that. And then the guy jumps on him, puts him in a chokehold, gets him down, choking him. And if you've seen the video, there's another gentleman. The guy who's choking, grab him in a chokehold, is a white guy, and the other guy who's holding him down also is a black guy. So at some point, when he's subdued, you have him under control. You have to understand that you don't need to be putting this amount of pressure on his neck. And at some point, the black guy who was holding him down could have, should have, and maybe, we don't know, should have said, he can't breathe. All right, let go the chokehold. We got him now. We got him now. And there's a young lady who videotaped this whole thing. But some way, shape, or form, this man was found innocent of this. How and why? Like, there was no weapons involved at all. It was literally you choking somebody until they died. At what point does it goes from protection, self-defense to malice? That's my problem. And I feel like we're in a time where we went backwards after the George Floyd, where they feel like, we can, this thing could happen and nobody is going to be an uproar. There's not going to be any marches. There's not going to be anything, which they're not. There wasn't. There was no protest. There was no marches. And I feel like we're in a time now where that generation of marchers and people who really was adamant about doing something, that generation has gotten older. George Floyd, if I don't know, was it 4 years, 7 years ago? It was some time ago, but you got to look at it like every 5 years, there's a new generation. There's things happen in people's lives. You have one age of people who are out there marching, but let's say 5 years go by. They either moved, got married, got families, got jobs, and now they focus us on something else now, but they understand what's going on and they're touched in their heart. But we can't get out there and protest. We need a new generation of leaders and protesters to get out there and start fighting for our rights. And I feel like this generation here now, we're not going to get any leaders from a generation of followers. I felt like this decision came down because they knew there wasn't going to be that much backlash on if he was found innocent. What's your thoughts, my brother?
I agree. I agree. And I tell you this, kind of like sentiment the same. Um, I feel like, well, it's coming now where it's like not generational. It's almost every year there's something different going on that brings forth. I mean, we just came out of dealing with Sonia Massey, who was actually shot in the face by a police officer. And this officer is actually getting off. Well, not getting off. They're petitioning bail for him. And I and for the life of me, I can't fathom how this is occurring. But again, I'm not surprised. As I said to you before, in a system such as this is bound to happen. You know, I think so many people have like gotten to the point to where they're just numb to all of this that's going on, but aware. And this concept of woke is so silly to me. I think there should be a stage of awareness when it comes to us. So I will never speak about anything being woke. I will speak about being aware. So if you're conscious to see what's going on, you understand what's happening. So, um, with that said, the um, guy getting off again, these were listen. I could blame. There's a lot of blame to go around on this. The judge, for one, allowing them to take the charges down from the manslaughter and bringing it down to a lesser charge, and then three charges. There were three charges, and the charges under manslaughter was to either let them go. The jury was deadlocked. They were deadlocked on the higher charges, and on the judge only gave them the option of the lower two charges. So my thing is, what are you coercing the jury? I mean, I'm sitting and I'm listening to this. I'm like, wow, what court system can we as Black people actually sit down and actually have them debate about, the charges that are actually being brought forth against us? And it's said that the charges, because the jury is deadlocked, they would be sent back. And again, these are serious charges. A man is dead. Unless you don't value the life of the individual, you know, you give them the opportunity to say that, oh well, you know what, since you can't debate on this or come to a conclusion on this, what we'll do is we'll sit you guys down and have you like debate on the two of the lesser charges. That's a privilege. To me, that's what it sounds like. That's like telling this man, okay, because they they're too weak to come to some conclusion, that we're going to actually allow them to give them two of the lesser charges to debate upon.
I got a
Now,
question.
mhm,
Do you feel any of this had to do with being a black and white issue?
Um, see, and to get to that, I'm gonna have to get to the 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 whole thing that I'm saying. So I the second part is the jury. The jury actually not doing the right thing and actually coming up with the higher charge of giving him 4 years in prison. Now that was their fault for not doing that. They should have saw that. I'm not sitting on a jury, so I don't understand what they saw, what they heard to do it. But the point is, again, whether it was intentional or unintentional, the man is dead. A man is dead.
Okay,
You
so
know.
but let's get to that. What is the underlying? Let's be real. In all three situations I gave you,
Mhm,
George Floyd, Neely, right? The gentleman Neil, right?
mhm, mhm,
And Eric Garner. There were three
mhm.
black men
Right,
who were choked, suffocated, and lost their life to the hands of three white men.
right.
Only one was convicted, was a police officer, and I feel it was due to the climate that it was. We cannot ignore the obvious of color playing a factor here. That's just
I
life. That's just what it is. I do
agree.
not I do not like skating over the obvious for me because when we start doing that, then we become compliant, complacent to the fact that we are now ignoring the obvious that we're black, we're threatened, we're endangered species. That's
Mhm,
period point. That's real. We need to understand that. We need younger generations to understand that you are an endangered species. And the people out here at times who are definitely protecting you, but you have those inside who look to bring their frustrations from their household, from whatever's going on in their world, whatever organization they're with, outside being police officers who want to hurt you.
mhm,
And it's a long line, and this
mhm.
line is too long. So I really feel that there was no way on God's green earth there shouldn't have been some punishment coming down. Definitely, it
I
has
sent them
something
into
to
the
do
thing.
with that, in my opinion. The value of life is not being valued. And I think this topic is going to be on value, right? Because I got a couple other things that would value that I want us to talk about. Life is not being valued. And I think the more and more with social media, the more and more you're seeing black men killed, black men being laid under, you being able to see a black body laying there countless times over and over on screen, on video, on the news, over and over, it numbs you. But if it's
Right,
an animal, they will pixelate it out. They won't show you. If it's a different group or race of people at times, they won't show you what happened. They will leave it up to your imagination. But
right,
but a lot of times with us, you get to see it. And don't get me
right,
wrong, a lot of that has to do with movies and music. The movies and music that we make. Let's not avoid the elephant in the room. Like
right,
if you want to portray yourself and your culture and your people as lifeless, has no value, life doesn't have any value, worthless, and women treat them a certain way, talk to them a certain way, then you can't be upset when you look at another race treat a black woman a certain way, say certain things about her. Like we have to eventually realize we are a reflection of the way we represent ourselves to other cultures. Yeah, brother. Yeah, take the floor. Let me let you
right.
go.
I totally agree with you, brother. And as I said, and as you just eloquently stated, that there has to be some line in which we draw as people and seeing that, there has to be something that comes out of each and every one of these deaths of these people, because I don't have the wherewithal to march. I'm just telling
Bro.
you, to me,
No, real quick. Let me tap on that. Excuse me. No, let me rephrase that. Pause. Let me tap into that what you just said. We are a certain age, bro. We're in our 50s. Let's keep it real.
right,
Elders are for
right,
counsel. Young is for war. We're not supposed to be out there warring and
right,
marching. We're for counsel. That's
right,
what it is. Problem
right,
is, we get older and
right,
still think we have the energy to be out here doing young stuff. That's not it. The younger generation need to step in and go, well, we got to represent. We got to do that. Like the whole thing about
right.
kumbaya, let's all get together and we unite and we all need to stand together. I think that train has left the station. Like for real, the
I
disconnect
agree.
between the young and the old is terrible. And it only gotten worse. worse. You remember we used to have a connection with us, our grandparents, just go down south. Those who have parents and the grandparents, spend time with them. Spend time with your elders, spend time with your grandmother, kids spend time with their moms, their dads. Like I spend time with them. We have conversations. So like me and my dad, when I was young, used to go out and sell watermelons as a kid. Like he'd get off work, we'd spend time together. But this generation now, it's like get their kids, pick them up, they're in the car with them playing all kind of music that has every kind of curse, profanity, everything in it. And then they wonder why their kids are cursing. They wonder why their kids act this way. And then they
Correct.
think it's cute when they see
Correct.
their kids with his pants hanging. I'll never forget that post that went like millions of views, but that young kid told me, I'm the man in the house. I'm the man, had his pamper hanging. I'm the man. And they all laughing like it's cute, and I'm like, y'all don't, the influence is nuts. But yeah, go ahead, bro. We got like
Right.
we are too
Well,
old for that.
well, I totally agree, and it's just a thing where you just have to say to yourself that at what point do you figure out that marching and all of this other stuff is not going to do anything? Is values, values, it's morals, it's taking accountability
But what do you think is
for a
holding
lot of
the
us.
youth back though? What do you think is holding them back from doing something though? That's like, what do you think it is? Like, do you
Brother,
think they
listen,
can? You think they have
that
it in them? You think like, give me your thoughts on that.
brother, I tell you, if we if we dive into this conversation right now, we'll be here for a long time
Nah, I just asked
because
you a simple question that can require a short answer. Where's your thoughts
it's
on the
family
youth?
structure. Let's just say family structure.
Okay.
It's family structure, and you have to get back to family values. All right, that's one. Family, that's a mother, a father, and children. And the parents actually doing actually what it takes to have a community. Each community needs to have a father, a mother, and the children listening to the adults. So again, I understand that there's a lot of intelligent kids out there today who think they know more than some of these adults. But the reason they're adults is because there has time passed, there has been some wisdom, whether it's good or bad, has been imposed upon them. So again, I would hope it's good, you know. So a family structure is what I believe is what the community needs for people to come back together and
All right.
impose these values.
All right. So I'm not going to stay too long in that because we got some other stuff we want to get into. Sticking on the topic of values, we had also a discussion on the phone talking about the value of relationships. Now, we
Mm,
were going back and forth with this because I swear, y'all, I swear for God, I did not want to get into talking about what these podcasts and these shows talk about. A man need to have that, a woman need to have this, he need to pay half and all that. That shit there do not interest me one bit. To me, the TV shows and these podcasts, all that are promoting that ignorance is all geared towards us, people that like brown people, black people, and everybody else is watching the mess. All other races are watching this mess, looking on how they don't want to be, how their relationships don't want to be. People are not watching this thing about us arguing about a man need to have this, a woman need to have that, and now going, yeah, let me look for me this kind of man. Let me make sure there's no Asian girl watching, these listening to this podcast talking about a man need to have this and that, and now she's going out taking this mindset with her. I say there's a majority of them who's not, but they're highly entertained. That shit is
mm,
killing our culture. That shit is
mm,
ruining our relationships, our structure. That shit is being handed down to these kids to see that. So my thing was value in a relationship. That's what I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to talk about that because the individual, his mind, her mind, or his mind is set. But the value of the relationships are being lost. It's being able to say, I value you as a human being and what you could bring and what we're going to create. I value the fact that you want to be in this relationship with me and you want to be able to provide for this household. The value of that man or that woman who's doing that, I think the other person on the other end should really sit down and say to themselves, what do they want for that person? Because if you can sit there as a man or a woman and now say to yourself, you're happy that this person is doing this much work to make sure you can have this much ease and not do nothing. You don't value the person. You don't value the relationship. You should want them to be happy. You should want to be able to bring something where y'all can create a value structure to be able to grow in a relationship, hopefully be together for a while, get married, have children, raise a family, and project those value into your children. The whole thing about the mindset of someone who forget that I don't want to go there. The thing is, we are being marketed destruction in our relationships. We're being marketed how exactly not to have a future moving forward in this world. We're being promoted that the people who own these shows, own these platforms, making millions. The people who have the actual podcast, all their value is the likes and the shares because they don't have no conclusion. They're not coming up with nothing at the end of the podcast going, well, that's great. And we came to a common solution. No, they just want the clicks. So
Well,
what's your thoughts on it?
let's not just say is those people with the podcasts and those people who have whatever their intentions are. Let's say it's also those people who, are outside of the podcast world, who are in the mainstream media, who are, who for a long time have been culprits of the demise of like certain structures of value and things like that, giving these false images of value. Like, for example, I mean, we talk about, and this is a topic that I think that touches home, and you can really get into it and understand exactly what uh values versus is traditions or non morals. As it looks now, if people keep in that same mindset as we were growing up and what we've seen, as I stated before, going from children to adult, and if there is no understanding of what things are, if we don't look at what things are, we're going to have a generation of childless,
Mm,
motherless fathers. We're going to have, yeah. Long story short, yeah. Because
I
again,
agree.
something needs to change.
Yeah, but the power is in who owns the media, the projection. The youth minds are delicate, and when they grow up seeing this and hearing this, like we had all the music crazy stuff too, but we also had options.
Right.
We had different choices. But let's get into this other value issue, the value of assets.
Mhm.
This was something we talk about, and it came up too. Like I'm watching people put value in assets that are not real tangible assets for the future. Sneakers, like
Right.
that was an asset created value based on nostalgia. Like that was a nostalgia, just like you see 90s groups touring now and everybody want to go see them because it was nostalgia and it was a time. And the time was perfect for these sneakers to go crazy. But I also seen videos of Fat Joe selling a lot of his sneakers. It's a video
Mhm.
of Jadakiss selling literally a house full of his sneakers. Jim Jones, another gentleman they call the mayor who has a house full of sneakers. And they're selling them. You know why? Because the value is depleting in an asset that's based on memories. You have
Right.
generations growing up now who are looking at sports. You have a lot don't feel LeBron James the best. You have some KD, Steph Curry. You have some with the new generation of players that's going to be coming up now where they're not even thinking about Michael Jordan's the best player. They're just going on rumors. That's like somebody asking me, do I want to buy a pair of Pistol Pete sneakers? Like, I'm going to go, no, because I don't know him. I don't remember him playing like that. I heard of him, but the nostalgia value. And that's basically, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, it's how people again. Now, I've seen a lot of Asian people and some white collectors with sneakers and like Japanese really big on that. But guess what? They're buying and trading that asset, not buying and thinking they're going to hold it forever. We get caught up in this nostalgia thing with, bro, the value of assets. We need to learn that. Okay, you could give me your thoughts. 'Cause I could keep going on that, bro. How you handing down sneakers to your children?
See,
Like you handing that down as wealth?
I view it this way, brother, and I can tell you this: it would have been a great thing. It would be a beautiful thing if they were sneakers made, built, and for a certain community. and distributed by a certain community and sold by a certain community. But this is
But
just like
don't say
thi-
certain. Talk.
but
Look, just because we ain't on the phone, don't mean you can't say what you can't say.
oh,
People are watching
don't
and listening to say what we got to say.
I,
If it
listen,
was
brother.
sneakers
I'm
made
not.
by what? Talk. Let's
I
talk.
don't.
If we ain't gonna talk,
I
we don't
don't
need.
feel.
Ain't no need for us to do this. We could just stay on the phone.
I
Just
got
say
you.
what we got.
I don't feel afraid about it. But my thing is, again, I just feel as if like this reminds me of the day we were riding our bikes, and I said to you, remember that conversation that I said to you about the hip hop? I said we as Black people, we created. You said we created hip hop and all of these other things, and I said I don't see how we really created anything because a lot of the things that we actually like, you know, gravitated to was actually like created by other people, meaning white
Oh, you
people.
gotta give me. You gotta break that down. Let's talk about
Sure,
hip hop. Who created
I'm
hip
going.
hop
Well,
if it
let me
wasn't
just say,
black people?
I'm not talking about hip hop itself. I'm talking
Well,
about
give
the
me anything.
culture.
You said hip hop though.
Okay, I'll stand corrected. The culture in hip hop, some of the cultures, as far as the dress codes, because if we could go back to 80s and 90s of Dapper Dan, what was Dapper Dan doing? Dapper Dan was taking Gucci
Right.
and Louis Vuitton, which was not our brands. That was their
Right.
brand. We are wearing to this day still Adidas. We are still to this day wearing Nike. So again, our culture, the culture that is actually wearing these things and selling these things, just like you said. And this goes back again to the conversation we were talking about when we were bike riding. I said, how do we own a culture when most of the things that are in our culture are being sold at exorbitant prices, and the ones who have benefited from it are the people who are not in our community?
All right, so let's keep it plain. The people who are creating these brands are not black people, but black people are introducing it to our culture, right?
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that black people are actually like bringing those cultures in, and the people that are profiting from them are those distributors, those retailers, because they don't even,
Okay.
now mind you, they don't even want to give us retail. They don't even want to give us a retail establishment to actually market those products. So my thing is, again, it's a thing where I'm so big on like having the ability to actually create, distribute, and market and retail your own product, which is the most important thing that we need to do. So when you speak about value, and when you speak about the sneaker culture and things like that, I agree with you 100%. But the way to it is us actually taking control of anything that we own, and anything that we create, and we put it together ourselves. Because every time I look at the hip hop, I say, okay, could we create a hip hop? Hip hop is great, you know, but look how many people who really make the large amount of money off of hip hop. Look at the people who actually like, are benefiting. And if it wasn't for that community, would hip hop really exist because of the money that they're actually funneling into hip hop?
Okay, let me
You know?
jump in real quick. All right, he's got so many points there that I want to talk about. First, to
Mhm,
Dapper Dan. Let's go back to Dapper Dan.
mhm.
Just because a brand, somebody has a brand, Dapper Dan has talent. One thing about us and our people and our culture, when we sprinkle our DNA on anything, we bring it to life.
I
We
granted.
bring it, we bring it to life. Period. Music was music. You go back, and I want people to watch the documentary about the theme from The Lion King. That
Mhm,
oh that theme. That song was taken from an African tribe by somebody else. It was a white gentleman who took this music, but this African tribe, they didn't know anything about making music,
mhm,
having recordings or nothing, but he
mhm,
recorded it and he took ownership of that. And now that documentary, this family went and sued Disney. Now this family got a lawyer, they got paid out some money, period, a check, that's it. But they didn't get the residuals that should last a lifetime on this. Please watch that documentary. When we sprinkle our essence on anything, you name it, we bring that thing to life. You're right. We don't own the clothes, we don't own the record companies, we don't own the distribution, we don't own all these things, right? But that comes from the lack of having the opportunity to start from that place. When you come from a place where you in the fields working and you doing this and you making the you making the backhoe to do the crops easier because you're a slave and you invented this device, but somebody else watch you. They have the knowledge to take that and patent it. There was a saying that said, best thing that the white person created was the patent office because they patent a lot of things that came from slavery. And this, when I have this conversation, I don't want people to get uncomfortable because it's no disrespect to no group of people. Because I'm talking about my people too. I'm just giving you the facts. You have people who are out there in slavery, created these things to make their job easier, but somebody else patented that thing and they never got the right for it. There was the story about the flag that was sold, and they gave credit to somebody else when they said no, that was a black slave who sold the first flag. There was no woman doing that kind of work. Now hold on, we're gonna keep going for a minute. Now other things, the cars, yeah, but we know Cadillac was going out of business till the black people start riding in those Cadillacs, having that we brought that to life. Now
Right.
that's no fault to black people not being in a position of ownership back then. Now there's no excuse, right? But the problem is now we have money to have distribution, do this, start doing these things and create your brands. But the problem is we don't believe in our own brands.
I agree.
You could create something about, oh, that's my man. He created this shirt. I bet I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna support it. See, I don't like when people say they're gonna support anything I do. I want you to be involved with it because you believe in it and it's gonna help you. When somebody says they're coming out to support something or buy something to support you, they're not really into it. They just doing it because they know you. Yeah, I bought this shirt, but I'm gonna support them. But they're not gonna wear it. But they'll wear that Gucci shirt all the time. They're not supporting that. They bought it because they want it. I want you to be there because you want to be there. Buy the product because you wanted the product, right? That's our dilemma. You have Tubi. Tubi came along, and the owners of Tubi is Fox, right? The same Fox that started their network, same Fox that had every black show on their network when they started. They had Martin, they had Rock, they had a bunch of black shows on there, Living Single, all on Fox. Soon as Fox got that viewership up, they went and got that Super Bowl money, that billions of dollars, got the Super Bowl. Them black shows were gone, and they went to UPN, Channel 9, Channel 11. They went on BET.
Right.
You feel me? Because we don't,
Right.
real quick, and I'm going to give you the floor again, and Tubi now is one of those products. If we would have created, somebody black would have created Tubi, odds are we probably wouldn't have supported it. If we would have supported it, he would have had to hide the fact that there's a black owner. Tubi is now putting everything black content on there, billions of dollars. And what they're going to do, they're going to end up selling it for billions, right? So that's our fault now, not being a consumer to actually help each other brand go to grow. But we are the type of people who only buy and exchange or use something that's already glorified, blown up by the whole world to see it. So when they see it on you, now they can look at you and now give you value of, oh, he must got money. Oh, he must be a baller. Oh, he must be this because of the brand, because of that brand has that thing. That's the value aspect. People need to find value in commodities before it becomes value. And this is why, and I'm gonna give you back the floor. I'm gonna get this last part out. This is why I feel we as a people will get left behind again with digital currency and crypto. Digital currency, a lot of us know is going to be the way of the future. Problem is, people don't want to buy the inexpensive, cheap coins, not even cheap, the coins that are very low price to buy now because they want to wait till they get to $5, $20, $100. People didn't start caring about Bitcoin till it went to 30,000, 60,000, 90,000, now 100,000. The only thing coming out their mouth is, oh, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. But yeah, when Bitcoin was $5, $10, $20, $30, $100, $1,000, people didn't want no part of it. This now we in a space where building wealth transition, you can be a part of a great wealth exchange to level the playing field in digital currency if we get off our horse about something having no value because the price is cheap. Yeah, my brother.
Well, I'm gonna give you a tidbit. when I worked on Wall Street. When I worked on Wall Street, one of the things that was taught to me was that if an asset is too high to acquire, the next best thing is what goes into those assets, what goes into building those assets. So, for example, Apple. Let's take Apple for example. Apple was one of the biggest stocks at that time, and there was so much run on it. I think it was like $67 when it came out, when its IPO started, and it just shot up. And then so many people were like, they missed out on it. But then as a broker, we understood that, well, that's not the only time that you actually have the opportunity to take advantage of Apple. You can also go after what creates the product, what other products are used in actually building that product. So much like crypto, much like any other asset, um, it's trends. If it's a trend and it's going, and if you miss out on the actual trend, you got to look at what's actually behind that trend. Who made that trend? What did it take to bring that trend to the point to where it's $67 Apple stock? So, like you're saying, all of the money and things that we invest, and it goes hand in hand to what you're saying about us as a people, not understanding our value and using our values to actually, like, take it and make a community. I said this to you before, that I'm one of those people. I mean, my dollar, it's 4 to 1. And so, which means I'll circulate it 4 times in my community before I let it go out 1 time.
How, Peter? How, Peter? There's nowhere. Where? What store?
Well,
Your bodega? Like, give me an example of
well,
how. That's what I'm gonna say.
for me, a bodega is not, you know,
Give me an
quintessential.
example.
But if
Four
I
to one, 4 times it exchanged hands before it leaves the black community. Give me an
Well,
example.
I don't want to throw out no I don't want to throw out no promotions to no one. But if you say I could throw a promotion, I wouldn't mind throwing a promotion to a
Talk,
young
bro.
person.
Talk. I just
Okay,
want the examples.
so
Ain't nobody
there's
got
a
no, you know.
gotcha. There's a store here in Brooklyn, and it's called what is it? Bed-Stuy Fly, which makes some beautiful clothing. You know, and I go in the store and I buy clothing from them. You know, so my thing is
But
like
the
I
four
will
times,
put.
Peter. I need four
Well,
times,
I'm
Peter.
gonna give you. Okay,
Grocery, like
okay. Well, I mean, again, if I gotta go
it ain't
food shop,
possible.
that's listen. 4 times shopping with your money. If you're gonna go out and buy clothing, if you're gonna go out and go to a space that, because I don't club, I don't do any of those things. If you're gonna go someplace and lounge, it's a place where our people only place or whatever it is. Eat. That's two. And then if you're going to, I mean, again, you just figure out whatever
Yeah,
it
but
is,
here's
but
the deal. That's not how it works. Four
Mhm,
times means the amount of times they exchange hands, meaning your hand to my hand is one.
mhm,
Now my hand, I need to spin another black hand. That's
right,
two. Then that person need to spin it. That's the 4 times.
right,
Not
right.
because I went to 4 black locations. That's
But,
not how it
well,
works.
but that's that. I got you. But that's the mentality. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. My thing is, I'm doing my part. I can't tell what somebody else is doing, but if you think, you just said it. That's the way I'm thinking. And my thing is, the mentality for me, I'm doing my part. And if somebody else does that, then that's circulation of that dollar in the community for a certain amount of time before it goes out one
Right, but
time.
there's not that many establishments in our community. And Peter is something that we call each other, that like a group of us. Peter goes back
Right.
to all of us hanging out instead of calling each other's name. You just say Peter, and all of us will look at one time. So when I say Peter, that's not his, we know that's not his name.
Not my real name. So don't
That's
call me
just
Peter out there.
we be like, yo, Peter. So
I'll
I'm
ignore
saying,
you.
Peter, Peter, this is the deal. There's no way. we don't have these stores, these outlets and places like that because we could do it, but the thing was, when it was a time of a generation who wanted to do it, we couldn't do it. There's a time when we couldn't buy, like they didn't want us to own real estate. We couldn't get business loans, but they give you a loan to buy a car because they knew that would depreciate, and that's debt. But now this generation here has money. Like you see all these, the ball players who have tons of like, bro, 50 million, $30 million contracts, huge. But my thing is this: where's the proof that we advanced? Like my thing, and I feel this way. I feel like if Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, literally, we were able to have a conversation with them and tell them, yeah, we have athletes now making $500 million, 30 million, $20 million a year. We have athletes who have their own businesses. They're opening up movies. They have distribution. They're doing that. They're doing these things. I'm quite sure, some way, shape, or form, they fought for us to be able to have these things. And now they would probably look back and say something like, okay, take us to our neighborhoods, show us our schools, show us our banks, show us what y'all doing now that y'all making billions of dollars. But all we have to show for it is other things that's connected to other people and other cultures, because that thing of making all this money hasn't translated into the ownership aspect. You mean to tell me we were able to have a Black Wall Street during a time with a generation? Those people in Black Wall Street was only one generation from slavery created Black Wall Street. We have generations that are 4 and 5 generations, excuse me, away from slavery, have billions of dollars and still can't find one neighborhood that's a Black Wall Street now? What's the excuse? And I'm do whatever you want with your money. Do whatever you want.
Listen, I hate. I'm going to agree with you. I hate it, but you're right. You're right about that. And again, the only way out of this, is not shunning the Democrats. It's not shunning the Republicans. It's not. It's not
This now I'm
doing
gonna talk
anything
about
else.
politics now.
Well, I'm not. I'm not. I'll leave it alone. I'm
Go
not.
ahead,
It's
go
not
ahead.
about
I
politics.
want to.
I'm just. It's it's unity. It's unifying. And it's the
You
only
know,
way out
I
of
don't believe
this.
you.
I do. I do. And my thing is, again, whether it's realistic or it's not, I think it's the only way out of this situation. There is no other way because, again, nobody else is going to give to the community. You're not going to give to the community. You already seen what happens when it comes to Democrats giving to the communities. You
Yeah, the
know, so
Democrats became some of the wealthiest politicians, and now
correct,
kicking and screaming, they going out. And I'm not for neither either side, but the thing is, they became very wealthy, while a lot
correct.
of Democratic people still became more poor, even though the opportunities were there now to invest, to get into the market. But the key things, the areas with jobs and programs, these things weren't pushed the right way. Now you have this $1 trillion of salaries going into the White House, about to have billionaires with $1 trillion companies trying to tell everyday people like how to survive. They're trying to create a roadmap for poor people to survive.
But
They're gonna go in there and they're gonna build more wealth. Go ahead.
did you not see this a long time ago, Peter? This to me, which is why I never had any interest. I really had no interest in actually being involved with anything that spoke unreal, anything that was unrealistic. You know, if it, I came to a point, and again, and I've talked to you about this, so we had discussions about this at length. Wall Street to me and being in finance and all this other stuff, it's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. If you have a plan, if your plan is to actually make yourself individually wealthy, great. But if you're working on someone else's goal, it's not a great thing. When I was working there, I saw the back end. I saw the inner workings. And to me, it's not glorifying. There's nothing glorifying about it. The thing is, again, you gather knowledge. Yes, sure, you can gather knowledge, but I've always been a person with whatever knowledge I gathered from whatever I was. I mean, whether it was technology, whether it was finance, or whatever it was that I worked at, it was always about like, you know, how could this make me a well-rounded person? And I've always found that you have to give up something when you thought about one thing and gave up on another, you know. So again, it it led me to a point to understanding that listen, I could do this and be good with this. You don't have to have these goals. All you got to do is just have, I believe, enough to be okay.
Yeah, less is
But
more.
so
Less
right,
is more.
right.
You don't
So
have to have these great ambitions of doing such this big thing when really you could put yourself in a position to do less, have more, but it all has to do with your surroundings of you don't need a big house, you don't need a big car, you don't need to take
right,
all these trips. You don't need to
right,
work harder to make more money just to give it out to all of these other things that you're trying to impress possibly other people or to have all these other things you don't need in your life. I
correct.
totally get it, my brother. My book for today, since we're talking about values, is The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm gonna put the cover up probably right about here. The Richest Man in Babylon. Please listen to that audio. Great values in that book. Man, it will put you on a serious course. I want to thank my brother Cliff for being here with me with this conversation with friends. Need y'all to subscribe, click the follow button. This is very therapeutic for me as usual. And I need y'all to never forget to do what? Always seek knowledge. Peace.